You said you had the listing.
I do.
Okay, so you didn't see anything else on there but her email.
Sure.
So what months do you have them for?
I don't recall right now because I don't have them with me.
He has the same information you have.
Okay, so then you should know what's on them.
What I don't understand is why we're paying $40,000. We've never paid, in the last 3 years combined, we haven't paid $40,000, and why do we do that in 4 months, 5 months? There's no reason. We have accomplished nothing as a board. We haven't changed the bylaws. We haven't even done his review yet,
Right.
okay? Because all we do is sit here and waste time arguing about how to get rid of Larry. Whether it's an executive session or a general
That's not what we
session, that's
talk
about all we do.
No one has ever said
Nobody's
anything
ever
like that.
said
Oh, I
that.
know, they've never said anything
Nobody's
like that.
ever brought that up at a meeting.
I don't,
I'm sure they have.
I don't think this is what we should be discussing. This, your FOIA request is your personal request. Let Pat deal with it and then move
Oh, I
on.
will.
It's interesting that that's the response that you're getting in terms of the FOIA that was also submitted to the Housing Authority.
Yes.
That's interesting that you're getting that
Now,
response.
how is this response different than anything for him? Is it anything different? You get all over everybody about whether or not Steve Carroll gets his FOIA request promptly, and yet when I sit here, now 29 days late.
We have nothing to do with
Okay.
Steve Carroll's FOIAs.
Okay.
But it
They
depends
have
on who
nothing
requests the
to do.
information.
So, again, I think that's what the PAC office is for. You can leave it up to them. Do we have any other discussion on this? Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the next agenda item, which is review and approval of RFQs for general counsel. Now open it up for discussion. Does anybody have any concerns on this, questions?
Move that we postpone it for 30 days so that we can review it. I just got it today, so the information about these two, I don't see the purpose of us trying to make a decision right now since I just got it. Or we can take a special meeting and come back in 2 weeks or something, but if you want me to review it and go through all of whatever we have for them, I think that's a little premature for me, but I'm the only one person, so you all
I
can.
agree. The last time we did this, we had an employee of the Housing Commission and 2 commissioners meet as a subcommittee to review the proposals, and then we made a recommendation to the board.
And that information was not requested of me. The only thing I was requested to do was to provide the responses of the RFQs. How it should happen is that there should be a scoring of these by the authority, whether it be the board or whether it be a committee. It should be a scoring of them.
That was a pretty neat little document that we used. I
And
don't know
so,
where it came from.
once that is done, then you make the recommendation in terms of based on how they responded. I also would caution the commission to look at potential conflicts of interest. And I think board members that may be in a potential conflict needs to recuse themselves of voting on this matter.
I agree. I have not had a time to review any of these, so I don't know who's applying.
No, it was sent out on Wednesday.
Well,
And
you know,
there's only 2 in there.
Some of us have things to do besides this.
Well, there's 3 in there. There is 3 attorneys total. 1 responded with another attorney, which is kind of uncommon, but you know, I've seen it done. But how you guys make a decision on it and you haven't scored it doesn't,
Appreciate
it,
it.
it,
I
it
think this
doesn't
one,
follow the
has
process.
the rest of the board have you guys had a chance to look this over?
I've looked parts of it over.
Okay.
I think it's risky to do that.
So what was the purpose of calling a special meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we called a special meeting so we could, this was the whole purpose of it.
I don't think you should have called the special meeting because you haven't scored it. I was not communicated with in terms of making sure that you follow the same process. What I recommended, the timeline that I did recommend, is when we talked about doing the RFQ, you asked me were we gonna do it, I responded yes, here's the timeline. You guys need to look at this and score it. You need to follow a procedure, because whoever you choose can then come back and challenge the choice if you haven't followed any procedure. You wanna have you wanna have a score sheet at least of this is why we chose who we chose, because whoever you didn't choose may request to see that information. I thought you were gonna handle this at the regular scheduled board meeting, but you decided to have a special meeting.
We decided to have a special meeting, and you should have communicated that to me when I said we're having a special meeting, this is why we're having a special meeting. You never communicated to me, well, hey, chairperson, I think that maybe we should do the scoring system, as we have done in the past.
Madam Chair, you were involved in the last decision.
No, I
making.
really wasn't
Yeah, you
involved.
are. Yes, you were. You were
No,
involved. You
I was not
approved.
involved.
You approved
But you
the
knew that this
recommendation.
was the reason why we're having this meeting today, so.
I don't schedule board meetings. You do.
You knew why we were having this meeting today.
I did, and I sent
And
you
you
the
did not
information you requested.
communicate to me this at all. That, oh, we usually go by a scoring system, this was our procedure, may I suggest?
Madam Chair, you suggested who was on the committee the last time that we've done it. So if you don't know the procedure, I know you didn't know the procedure.
I did not suggest.
Who was
to
on?
us.
I'm
So,
sorry.
I was-
Roger was on
how
the
long
committee.
does it take to score?
I mean, you guys need to read them.
It-
Like-
Well, we didn't score them the last time, so
Yes, we
how,
did.
how
Yeah,
long?
we did not, the
Okay, so
Maybe
here's
the
board.
the procedure. You go out for RFQ, you ask for qualifications. When they come in, you review the qualifications. Once the qualifications is reviewed, if you allow the committee to score it, they score it. You didn't have to follow the procedure of having that committee, but how are you guys gonna make the decision to pick who you pick if you have not scored the information?
Okay, but at the last meeting, I said, why do we have to wait until the next regular meeting to vote on this? Can't we just do a special meeting on the 25th? And you said, yeah, if Chairperson Smith-Norman thinks that's okay. And you said, so why wouldn't you have this scored when we came to the meeting?
It is not my responsibility to score them. I was not given the directive to score them. You guys wanted to make the decision as the board. You asked for me to send them to you as the board. I am merely telling you that you need to have a process in terms of how you score these. Because again, let's say I was one of the attorneys you didn't choose, right? I can then request to see what procedure you followed. If you didn't follow any, I can challenge it.
Who was on the last?
I was.
Roger was, Andre was, Brenda was, and Tom Cassidy was. I was not on the committee.
And we met for 2.5, 3 hours one afternoon, and we reviewed all of these things, and we discussed it, and we discussed them thoroughly.
And I guess my question is too, why does the board, or I mean, not the board, the staff, why are they part of the scoring system?
Because the attorneys represent them too. They don't just represent us.
Well-
They represent the entire housing authority.
And then the other reason is that you have staff that has certain expertise, and you want to make sure you get a balanced scoring. That's the reason that people set committees to do that kind of thing. Now again, the board could decide that they're the ones that's going to score it, but I am only saying that you need to score it because I think if you don't, you have no rhyme or reason as to how you made the decision. Make sense?
So this form that was used to score before, do we have that form that gives us what qualifications we scored and what number value we attach to it? That
I would move that we postpone this until another date, and we've had a chance to review these things, We set up a committee to do the scoring, and then a committee then presents back to the board for their vote. And I don't care who's on the committee, but that's what I'd like to suggest that we do.
Do you have the score sheet? Can you get it like in 5 seconds?
I think so.
Can we see it now?
Oh, absolutely. There's an example of what we followed last time. And it's standard if you go out for RFQ and you go out for RFP that you score them. Otherwise, how are you making the decision?
Yeah, I remember that from last time. So I think we need to decide today, if we're gonna postpone this, we need to come up with a committee to score them.
I can give you a recommendation if you like.
Rhonda, will you be part of that committee?
Sure.
Do we have 2 people?
I'll be happy to do it again if you want me to.
I think you should do it. I think you should do it.
Okay.
Now, I would
Myself
argue
and
that that's a
Ryan.
conflict. Mike Phillips is currently the attorney for the place that Jennifer works. So I would think that she would need to recuse herself from scoring or voting on it because he is the attorney of where she works.
That makes sense too.
You know, there is real conflicts of interest here, although the
So
city
how
has
much
chosen to
interaction
ignore
do you
it.
have with him?
I don't ever.
Doesn't make any difference. Just
Yeah.
the fact that it's there is there, and it's the potential conflict. It doesn't mean that anybody's doing anything wrong. It's the opportunity for conflict that would
And
get
the
us
issues
all in the whole
of
world hurt.
interest.
Not just Jennifer, not just you, just not me, the whole of us in the world hurt if we entered into something where there was a potential for conflict. I know it would be a bad idea. We might as well just put the 3 names up on the board and throw darts at it before we do that.
What do you think, Sam?
I mean, would it be out of place if we sat here now and scored it?
That's what I'm thinking too. I feel like we would be not wasting our time this meeting.
I don't suggest that
I
you
mean,
do that.
I took a.
You guys,
Yeah.
the way that we're handling this opens us up for potential litigation. It makes sense to reschedule. You guys take the time to read the information and score it. There's nothing happening between now and the next board meeting, or if you decide to have a scheduled board meeting. But I think this is not protocol, or it makes us look.
When was the next board meeting? What if you scored it, and then you took the scores, tabulated them, and then brought it to the board meeting and said, this is what
You
your
guys
score was?
vote.
And then you just vote, because this is what your score was. We base it on whatever category we have, and I don't know. That's a little vague, I guess it went over there, but,
And
Yeah.
we can edit this document, but you need to have a system. And there's no system. And again,
You mind writing it? I'll recuse myself from being on a committee.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. You and Rhonda?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
wait a minute. You, Rhonda, and who else? Do you just want the committee of the 2 commissioners?
Well, do you want one of your staff?
Well, I think it should be 3 I think it should be, How many was it? Was it 4 last time?
No, there were 3. There was Brenda, there was Andre, and there was the young man that worked for, I forget what his name was.
So I would recommend that Tom is a part of the committee too.
Tom?
Okay.
He seemed to contribute.
Okay.
He understood, and
All right.
Brenda brings a different insight into the legal aspects of this, so I think that she should, I would recommend
Okay.
that she be there.
All right.
And then, so what should happen now is that we set up a meeting time for you and Tom and Brenda to meet. We can do that next week. We'll get your availability. You meet, you score it, we send it in, you guys vote on it at either the next special board meeting or the next board meeting.
Allow 2 hours, 2.5 hours for the discussion.
All right,
I'm okay with that. It's up to you.
yeah, that's fine. All right, we'll
You
hold
gotta
it over
set
then.
some-
Right.
Because if you don't be
Mm-hmm.
consistent,
That's fine. I'll hold it over then. And like Larry said, just call him with availability. Get this done ASAP, the general counsel back on our board. All right,
Move we adjourn?
any motion?
you got a motion? I'll second.
All right,
It's Roger and Sam, correct?
Yep.
12:37.